Hello and welcome to the Common Core State Standards website. So here we have the English Language Arts Standards introduction, specifically where it gives us information on how to read the standards. So here we have the overall document organization provided, kind of breaks it down, discusses who is responsible for which portion of the standards, and also provides key insight into the key features of the standards, specifically breaking it down from reading, text complexity, and the growth of comprehension, to writing, different text types, responding to reading and research. As for speaking and listening, there is flexible communication and collaboration. Language, there is conventions, effective use, and vocabulary, and then also breaks down the 3 appendices as well. And jumping over to the anchor standards, so there are various anchor standards as well for reading, writing, speaking and listening, and language. So here we have the English Language Arts Standards anchor standards for college and career readiness in reading. So the various standards in this strand are provided here, then they get broken down into more detail below. So for example, with key ideas and details, I want to make sure that students determine central ideas or themes of a text, analyze their development, summarize the key supporting details and ideas, and it goes on to provide information regarding craft and structure, integration of knowledge and ideas, as well as range of reading and level of text complexity. Here we have the English Language Arts Standards Reading Informational Text, specifically for grades 9 through 10th. So I am student teaching 10th grade world history, so I chose to look at the range for 9th through 10th grade. And here we have, again, key ideas and details, craft and structure, integration of knowledge and ideas, and range of reading and level of text complexity. So for the range of reading and level of text complexity, we'll see that it kind of breaks it down even more broadly. So it'll say by the end of grade 9, students should be able to read and comprehend literary nonfiction in the grades 9 through 10 texts. And by the end of grade 10, read and comprehend literary nonfiction at the high end of grades 9 through 10 text complexity band independently and proficiently. So kind of giving the end goal in a sense at the end of these grade ranges where students should be in regards to reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and language. So here I chose to highlight the English Language Arts Standards in writing for grades 9 through 10. So we have different text types and purposes. So students should be able to write arguments to support claims and analysis of substantive topics or texts using valid reasoning and relevant and sufficient evidence, as well as write informative explanatory text to examine and convey complex ideas, concepts, and information clearly and accurately through the effective selection, organization, and analysis of content. It goes on to get into production and distribution of writing, as well as research to build and present knowledge. And we have information here that is also provided on the Common Core website that has to do with Standard 10, range, quality, and complexity, so actually measuring text complexity, and there are 3 factors that go along with this. So we have qualitative, quantitative evaluations of the text, and making sure we match the reader to the text and the task. So for range of text types for 6 through 12, so there's also a range that is provided here underneath Standard 10. So here we see that there's stories, dramas, poetry, and literary, nonfiction, historical, scientific, and technical texts. So going into the ELA standards for history, social studies, like I said, I am student teaching world history for 10th graders, so I'm going to focus in more detail on these standards here. So the various standards in this strand are listed at the top, and they are broken down into different categories in more detail. So with history, social science, the Common Core is really seeking and making sure that students are able to analyze primary and secondary sources. That is a very big thing with the Common Core State Standards. So making sure that students are able to analyze and determine the central ideas of information in these primary and secondary sources, as well as summarize key events and how these developed over the course of the text, and also analyze a series of events described in a text and determine whether or not earlier events caused the later ones or if they simply preceded them. As for craft and structure, students must be able to determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text, analyze how text uses structure to emphasize key points or advance an explanation or analysis. This is a really big one for me, this third one here, comparing the point of view of two or more authors for how they treat the same or similar topics, including which details they include and emphasize in their respective accounts. So, for example, we can have students reading various primary source documents. Maybe they're on the causes of World War I, whereas one focuses on one cause and the other kind of maybe focuses on the same cause but in a different way. So maybe one is in support of that cause, or just has some type of bias, whereas the other is kind of going more against it. So making sure that our students are able to kind of compare and contrast these various points of view on a topic, and identify things such as bias that can influence the writers of those primary and secondary source documents. As for integration of knowledge and ideas, we want students to be able to integrate quantitative or technical analysis. So, for example, from charts, research data, and kind of integrating that with qualitative analysis that's in the print or digital text, as well as assess the extent to which the reasoning and evidence in a text support the author's claims, and compare and contrast treatments of the same topic in several primary and secondary sources. So you see that the comparing and contrasting is kind of like a continuous theme. Also, range of reading and level of text complexity. So by the end of grade 10, students should be able to read and comprehend history, social studies texts in the grades 9 through 10 text complexity band, both independently and proficiently. So that is my little tour of the Common Core State Standards, focusing in more, like I said, in detail on the history, social studies standards for grades 9 through 10. Thank you.